Hey guys, this is Skeleton of Chaos again, in-game name Kvothe, and I will be recording another game. This game I was playing Anti Mage, which is one of my favorite heroes. So this game I'm playing with most of the same people from last game. I forget who dropped between there. I believe it was Flying Lemon. But yeah, that's really all I have to say. I'm gonna try to fast forward this so we don't have to sit through the picking stage. 3 minutes, 40 seconds in. This is close enough. I don't actually remember why we were paused here. Apparently like some time. We can look through chat. Oh, okay. I forgot I was actually AFK during this time period. And then someone else went AFK. And it went, and we got really confused trying to start. It just took forever. And we basically didn't realize that everyone was actually ready and was back. But yeah, I mean, Vex wasn't really trying to be a jerk there. He was just trying to point it out to them. That everyone's good. So yeah, I'm playing Anti Mage. Anti Mage is one of my favorite heroes in the entire game. He's really awesome. And he's really awesome for two reasons. Reason one is that he has a thing called Blink, which at level 1 is 1000. That's an entire screen length. So he has a lot of mobility. Reason two is that between Blink and Spell Shield, and the fact that you're an agility hero and you get a ton of armor, you become nigh invincible. Except basically pure damage and direct HP removal, which they had in the form of Bloodseeker. The direct HP removal from Rupture really hurt. Also, Silence could arguably be very effective against me. But almost everyone else on their team late game I won't have to worry about. He also is exceptionally fun against Huskar, because Huskar's ult damage is magical. So when Huskar goes to actually ultimate me, if he ever does, he'll take more damage, he'll do more damage to himself than he will to me. And that makes me quite happy. The downside of fighting against a Huskar is that, your magic damage on your team does nothing, and your ult does nothing. And Mana Burn is actually fairly effective against Huskar. It's not like he needs mana to everything, but because he'll almost always have a full mana pool that you'll be able to burn through. So, I mean, it works out. The Bloodseeker was going on my supports, trying to contest XP for a little bit. And, it's very important, just when your supports are actually pulling, that you do a little rotate down and you try to help them when they're being harassed. Because you can't feed supports. I mean, granted, a support death is less important than your own death, but a support death is still a death. So you have to try to rotate, maybe even get a kill if you do, but it is very helpful to keep your supports alive so they can continue supporting you. So yeah, I'm going to last hit some more, basically. Now, for my SK game, my last hits are way up. I'm at 8 last hits at the 2-minute mark, as opposed to 6 last hits at the 12-minute mark. Or 7-minute mark, actually. I was at like 23 or something at the 12-minute mark. So yeah, not very good. I'm picking up boots here because most of the time just a boot advantage will let me run away from the Bloodseeker until he hits level 6, in which case I can't really run anyways, because I'll take rupture damage. So I'm looking more for ways to just kind of stay out of harass. It's arguable that I could have picked up my Ring of Health now, because it would have killed me up over this time frame as opposed to me needing to regen. Then again, there is also the argument that, maybe the boots advantage are helpful. So we try to go for a kill on this guy here. We're going to Nightmare him, so our Rubik can come in. We're going to move to the far side so we can body block him on the way out. Lift, Brain Tap, and the Rubik takes the kill. Although he threw that attack animation way before he actually looked like he was dead. So, I mean, you can't really get too mad. It kills a kill, right? Kills a kill. So anyways, that puts me at level 4, which if we look at... Let's look at experience for a minute again. I'm actually the 4th highest So if we look at everyone else, we have solo lane. Mid Zeus, we have mid Huskar. Now these two are arguably should always be the highest. We have our offlane Seer, who's been doing a really good job of getting experience because he is against what seems to be all melee lane. Their entire team's all melee. So yeah, our Seer's in more or less the ideal setup. But I'm at 321, which really isn't that far behind. So I mean, I'm pretty happy. I mean, we're beating most of their other team in experience fairly handily, so I'm okay with it. I would argue that their team composition is actually really greedy because they are running Lycan and Earthshaker as supports. I mean, they're trying to have Lycan jungle, but Lycan jungle is really, really slow as of the recent patches, or I suppose not so recent patches anymore. But the Earthshaker is support, but even the Jug, I mean, the Jug is at 180 XP. Like, I mean, he's just getting out-laned by a Seer because he can't come in within reach of the Seer to actually get experience because of Ion Shell. So, I mean, it's something like that that really helps make the early game. Because the Jug can recover, and the Jug may recover, but starting him off as a disadvantage is incredibly significant. So if we look, I get silenced here, which kind of sucks. We're going to go on him. Our Rubik was a bit slow getting to the fight because the Nightmare's going to wear off. We're not going to be able to lift him. If we could have lifted him, it would have been a kill. I dive a bit too much, take a bit too much damage. I barely half the amount of damage. But I would have healed up, salved up regardless of the tower hits anyways. And then that really ticked me off. I blew my salve because of a freaking range creep. Oh, that was really painful. But I mean, that salve would have been a full heal. I would be back at my 606 HP. So I was really talked about that. But our Rubik is outzoning him, so the Bloodseeker isn't coming too much to lane because he is a bit afraid. Vex gives me some tangos, so I have a Ring of Health. I mean, I'll be back to par within a few seconds. And Huskar kills our Seer. You can't actually see team chat in this, but there was in fact a missing call, and our Seer just played a little bit too aggressively. But I mean, it's a Huskar. I mean, he's known as the pub stomp hero, so it's not really that much of a surprise. But I mean, looking at XP, I'm now the third highest on the graph. I'm okay with this. If we look at gold, which would actually be something that I'd be intrigued to see, would be gold. I'm actually really not that high up. Oh, wait, no, current gold. 1 gold per minute. Gold per minute. Okay, so I'm second on the map as far as gold per minute goes, because I'm doing a more or less acceptable job of last hitting. Because Anti Mage has a phenomenal last hitting animation. Like, it's so good. It's my favorite in the entire game. So I'm leading in GPM, and GPM is something that's really, 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 really important for Anti Mage. And the reason I'm going to stress why it's so important is that you want to get, and the Bloodseeker seems to be not paying attention, basically. Mana Void, kill. That might have been a bit brutal killing an AFK, but I personally don't actually believe he was AFK. I think he just kind of clicked to like go up to the creep wave and was doing something else. I'm not sure if he was AFK or not, but I mean, if he's AFK, he wouldn't have moved there, right? I mean, he TP's back, so it's almost as soon as he respawns, so I doubt he's actually AFK. Anyways, at this point, I sent the Crow to the secret shop because I'm picking up the mana Void component of my spell. I was really confused as to why the Bloodseeker Blood Rage with me. Because I was beating on the tower, I mean, the extra damage helped. And, I mean, it does a little bit of damage, not enough to kill me. I mean, I guess it's silence, but I mean, right now I'm very dependent upon my passive mana break. I probably should have got the last hit on that tower. I was apparently not paying attention to it, waiting for my perseverance. Now, one of the things that a lot of people seem to do is when they're building something like a Battle Fury, they seem to go like Ring of Health, and then the Broadsword for the plus 12 damage. But you have a Ring of Health, and when you buy the Void Stone for 875, which is a full 400 less, it's a full 325 less than the Broadsword, but it gives you 10 damage, and it'll give you mana regen. So, 10 damage, mana regen, 1 less inventory slot, versus 325 more gold and plus 2 damage. Personally, I take the Perseverance because I feel like it's a lot more effective. And it also means that you can use your Blink a lot more often in lane because it's going to recharge, well, mana recharge in any ways, in under 30 seconds. So, I mean, it's a trade-up. It really depends on what you prefer to do. But I like using Blink a lot when I am in lane. Maybe to get a last hit that I wouldn't get to otherwise. Maybe to get away. But, I mean, having full HP and mana anytime you're sitting in lane is never a bad thing. Never a bad thing. It also lets you use your mana Void a bit more often if you need to trying to use it. Because sometimes you will get lucky and the mana Void will actually be the perfect amount of damage to kill someone. So like there, I can blink and I know that by the time it matters, I'll recharge. So I realize I'm ruptured, I decide to stand still. It seems to be the right idea. I blink, and I did not realize that blink, max range blink, would actually hurt me that bad. Because that was a lot of HP I just lost. Blinking. I was surprised I didn't die at the end there. So I'm a bit concerned about fighting the Bloodseeker. And I take some tower damage, which doesn't seem fun. Now the Bloodseeker starts chasing me, because now he's the Bloodseeker. But I'm an Anti Mage, and I have Blink. And that's why I like having mana for Blink. Blink is really good. That gets ludicrously good. Because something like Queen of Pain's Blink at level 1 is nowhere even close to the range of Anti Mage's. But, I mean, just Anti Mage's Blink. Like, if you need an excuse to play Anti Mage, play him for the Blink. The Blink is really fun. Really good.
Yo, green dudes, something bad is happening.
I was just queuing up the items for my Battle Fury, because, you know, Battle Fury is a really good item on Anti Mage. And the reasoning for that is basically that you can go to your jungle camps and you can cleave the heck out of all of them and you can get a ton of gold. And Anti Mage really needs gold. Now the reason you pick up Quelling Blade on Anti Mage, because you really don't need it to last hit on him, because he has a fantastic animation, base attack time of 1.2 seconds as opposed to normal 1.7. But the really good reason why you want Quelling Blade is basically because you're going to jungle a lot. The 30 damage helps a ton, and the ability to cut trees. Now, on Dire side, I don't have too much of an issue with using it to cut trees, because, you know, I find that I can clear it relatively quickly, without cutting trees. But the 30% damage buff against creeps, especially when you're in the jungle, because you can actually cleave off that damage, it just helps so much. And right now I'm debating between getting the Broadsword or the Claymore, because I'm 100 gold away from the Claymore. And if I get the Claymore, I get plus 2 damage. At some point along the line, I was thinking about this, and I went, is it worth waiting for Claymore? Or should I just buy the Broadsword? And I mean, it's a 12 damage versus 14 damage. And when I think about this, I actually think it makes a lot more sense to just go for the Broadsword. And the reasoning for this is that in the event you get ganked in that 200 gold window, you just lost a lot of gold. And 2 damage is largely irrelevant. I mean, granted, you'll have to wait for 200 more gold later on when you're going for your Battle Fury. But, I mean, it's really dependent on how safe you feel in lane. I felt pretty safe, so I waited for the Claymore, because then it takes less time to get to the next thing. And here, I'm kind of not paying attention, as you can see. And I kind of walk more or less exactly past the Huskar, who also wasn't paying attention. Use Blink to get by. Blink back in, because I see him going on the Zeus. We get a Lift Nightmare. I think the Lift actually purged Nightmare. And we kill him. I was debating denying the Zeus. It looked like he was going to live. And then he took one more tick of damage and died.
Yo, green dudes, something bad is happening.
So I was very sad about that. I should have denied him. And the Earthshaker does a harass. And I mean, Bloodseeker can see me because I'm ruptured. But I have a fairly awesome team around me right now. I go, it's not really worth me being here. I got to kill on the Huskar. And then I went, shoot, I backed up too far, because I could have just killed the Bloodseeker. And killing the Bloodseeker really, really would have been nice. And so, I mean, I played a little bit too cowardly there. Because see, now I'm coming back and I'm looking for kills. But now I'm late. So, I mean, I really should have just backed up a little bit, stayed on the high ground, just out of range so I could blink away if needed. But also so I could blink too, if needed. And just have more options. Options in general are a really good thing. So now it's about 14 minutes. If I was playing perfectly, I would have my Battle Fury around now. This is 14 minutes to mark that I consider more or less what I should be getting my Battle Fury at. Because basically if I wasn't roaming, and I was staying in lane, and I didn't push the lane accidentally, I wasn't missing lessons on range creeps, I should have my Battle Fury. So yeah, I was kind of sad about that I'm running slow on Battle Fury. But, I mean, granted, I am leading the GPM right now, 301 to 291. Huskar was in mid, so I'm taking that. Huskar versus Zeus mid is very, 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 very favored to the Huskar. Because basically I don't think Zeus mid is really that good. I mean, it can work. I mean, I've seen games where Zeus carries, but oftentimes when I see a Zeus mid, it just doesn't seem to work out. Especially if you're going up against someone like Huskar. Like, Zeus is fairly squishy. In Huskar Burning Spear, he trades 15 of his HP for 140 now. 140. Which means if the Huskar stands on the other side of the creep wave, and every time he sees Zeus he throws it, it's going to take like 4 spears for the Zeus to die. And when you think about that, that's kind of bonkers. 4 spears. 4. And if you get something like Life Break off, I mean, it really doesn't work out. And also, it's not like the Zeus can kill the Huskar, because as soon as the Huskar starts dropping life, he's going to gain the magic resistance. So, I mean, we more or less lost that lane as soon as our Zeus went into it, which is to be expected. Trying to remember what the water for
towers under attack.
I mean, experiments are apparently hard. So, gold per minute. I mean, XP per minute. I'm second, running behind the solo and darts here. Not by much, though. I'll catch up here at the farming. Gold per minute, I'm leading. So I'm gonna look at XPM, because here, this is where, basically, I'm gonna whack creeps more. And, if you learn one thing about me as a Dota player, it's that I really enjoy my farming. Like, it's really fun. I'm saying that somewhat sarcastically, because it can get really boring. But just, there's something about finding space on the map and being away from everyone else and just going and getting that nice little bit of mana. So I told the Zeus to pass me the bottle because I saw him wanting to pick up the DD rune. And so he went and he can grab the DD rune.
Bad dudes, middle tower, everyone, go, now!
And if I remember correctly, I remember him breaking in Biz for some reason. Because, I mean, bottling a rune won't break in Biz, or at least it didn't used to. I'm pretty sure it's still up. And, like, that was just an example of the Zeus doesn't really realize that he can't. I mean, he literally cannot kill the Huskar. So he basically wasted his ultimate. Let me double check. Yeah, because it was the Bane that killed the Bloodseeker. So maybe the ultimate contributed to killing the Bane, but it doesn't seem like it's that super effective at... It didn't seem like the most efficient use. So now here when I get my treads in, I have 3 options. I could put them on mana, but I seem to be doing pretty good on mana. I could put them on HP. I seem to be doing fairly well on HP. And so I decided to put them on agility because it gives me slightly more damage, slightly more attack speed, and just lets me farm a little bit more. Because I'm not having any problems with sustain, as you can see. I mean, the sustain would be the same either way. I mean, I'm not really too worried about dying. If you look on the map, I do seem to have a lot of space. I was yelling at the Seer here because I told him I was coming for that top wave. But he took it. So I just went and bashed creeps. And now I'm looking at it, and I come and I grab the top.
Dire's
Or I try to pick up some
tower
of
is
the
under
top
attack.
anyways. Some top XP. And this here backs off because, you know, Kev lets me get farm because I am the Anti Mage. So experience per minute right now, I am leading at 435, so I will be the highest level in the game, and I'm also leading in gold. And so this is the slow, boring snowball to victory. So looking on the map, I see one person who's really far forward. I figure that person, which is the purple. The purple is the only guy you can see on the map right now. So I figured that the purple isn't going to be out that far by himself. And I seem to be mostly right in that assumption. And I see the Earthshaker and I decide, hey, I should back up. And this is more of the Zeus trying to kill the Huskar. It really doesn't work because he gains so much magic resist when he's close to dead. Like, it doesn't even matter. You just can't kill him with magic. You cannot kill Huskar with magic. I mean, there are a few great times where Bane saved his Brain Zap, which does 300 pure damage. It's ridiculous for the very end, and we got kills on him that way. But I'm just going to kind of ignore my team, and I'm just going to farm, because that's what I need to do to win. I need to farm. Farming is good. Farming is how Anti Mage wins games. Now, granted, maybe I could not ignore my team so much, because we could have got more kills and stuff. I see the Huskar there. The blink and call up if there was a Huskar there. Over the mic. And now if you look at my items, I'm building a Vlad's right now. Vlad's gives me a 15% base damage increase, which is off of 92 here, so it'll give me more or less 15 damage, can give me some more mana regen, some more sustain. But the reason I like picking up Vlad's is that if you get into an early fight, Vlad's really helps because you can lifesteal off your mana burn. And so you get a lot more effectiveness, you get a ton of effectiveness out of Vlad's. Now granted, is that effectiveness more than something like a Manta? Arguably not, but then again, Vlad's comes at 2,000 gold. So it's a question of effectiveness versus price point. And I am a big fan of getting the Vlads at this point. I mean, granted, it's a little bit more of an early game build, but I feel like it curbs out Anti-Mage's mid game. It also lets you blink more or less with impunity, because your blink is going to recharge, at least at this point. My blink is recharging on a, 64, so about 15 seconds between blink recharges. And I'm pretty okay with that. So we Fiend's Grip here. Not ideal in any way. We didn't know there were that many people coming, and as such, we die a horrible, painful death. Because I get solo on this last. So I'm dead for 45 seconds, which is a really, really long time to be dead. And it's really boring. So Zeus is silenced, he can't do anything. Or Rubik looks like he'll get away from this. Well, he will get away from it because Rubik's stolen copy of Fissure is better than actual Fissure. Because Rubik has a 0.1 second cast time, whereas Earthshaker's is like 1.5. So whereas it takes Earthshaker time to line that up, Rubik can just toss it out. And we should see that again here soon. Might as well watch Rubik while I'm dead. Like that, I mean, it's completely ridiculous. We stopped throwing magic damage at him, because magic damage is completely useless. But we pick him off with tower damage. Tower damage is helpful. And I'm just kind of walking to win, because I didn't have enough money with me to buy a TP scroll. Which was really depressing. I hate having to walk back to
Yo,
win.
green dudes, something bad is
I
happening.
wasn't really sure where I wanted to go. I could have went top, but then the fight kind of fizzled before I got there, so I kind of rotated bottom. But you know, I'll take my gold wherever I can get it. The other nice thing about Vlad's is that it lets you take stacked ancients really easily without dying. You do take a lot of damage though. So basically, I can come over here. I can take this gold stack. So I'm at 411 right now. So it basically gives me 700 gold. And I would say I couldn't do that without the Vlad's, because the Vlad's gives me that little bit more sustain that makes it actually pointful to go over there, because I know I can heal up relatively soon. Just coming back and going back to the jungle, I'll be able to heal up. At this point, I realize that it's worth it to kill the creeps. Get a little bit mad at the Zeus for throwing bolts, but it looks like I got all the last hits out of that anyways. and we go, there's a tier 1 tower here.
Radiant's
The other
middle
nice thing
tower
about
is under
Vlad's, that synergizes well with Anti Mage, is that we ulted for vision there, just to make sure that we
You're
could take
good,
that
guys.
tower.
Middle tower
Is
got
that the
over.
Vlad
What you
armor
gonna do?
aura,
Get mad or get
will
even?
apply to the creeps. And that's arguably incredibly useful for Anti Mage's skill set of being able to split push for farm, because it means your creeps will take about 2 more tower hits before dying, which matters a lot more than you think it does when you're pushing. Because out of an entire creep wave, at least for melee creeps, say you have 5 melee creeps, that's 10 more tower hits. Towers shoot once a second, and that's 10 more seconds of damage. I'm hitting for 200, say approximately 2, so that's 400 damage a second, not counting armor reduction, 10 seconds, 4,000 more tower damage. Towers have about 40 armor. So that's about 300 more tower damage. And that can mean all the difference between taking a tower and not. So I would argue it's completely worth it. If you look at this point, it's fairly easy for me to go through the jungle. Just because of my damage. I'm not losing any HP because of the Vlads and the Battle Fury. Grabbing Haste Rune. Love the Hasted Anti-Mage animation. Running, looking at their Ancients. Did not know the Light Hand just took it. So I'm going to run around looking like a boss. It's basically my job right now. It's called running around looking like a boss. So if we look at it, I'm starting this at 5 seconds, 25:05. And if we just look at how long it takes me to actually go through the jungle, I'm not bothering blinking because I have the haste rune. Saving my mana for here. So if we look at it, I've been in jungle for about 25 seconds now. I've taken all the camp except this camp and large camp. So hang around, and so it's about 45 seconds, so it's going to take me about 40 seconds to kill the entire camp. Blink to the creep wave, get gold here, and now I can push. And it's just that Anti Mage has so much farming potential. It's not even funny. So now, 4 of our team members are pushing the bottom lane, and it's drawing a rotation. And that's really awesome. And so what happens is, in the meantime, while they're pushing that and making sure people stay there, I can be by my lonesome, taking the top tower. And at first I back away because I wasn't sure how many there were, and then I realized that's just an Earthshaker, and I can kill him fairly easily with some mana blade. So they're bottom, they get a kill on the Bloodseeker. They don't get the tower, but I get a kill on the Earthshaker, and I get the tower. So you could say that they just got 1 kill by rotating down there, or you could say that by rotating down there, they gave me enough space to get a kill and a tower. So that rotation was arguably very awesome on their part. Also, they're doing a commendable job of fighting basically 4v5. I hate to say 4v5, because I'm the one person who's farming, but what happens is, if they can hold their own, and they can basically not lose the game, and they can hold on to around 35-minute mark with minimal help from me, it means that I'll eventually just be able to snowball out of control. Because I am an Anti-Mage, and the 1.2 second bat really helps. So right there, we get 2 kills, we trade them for 3 deaths. If we're counting this as still part of the same rotation, looking at this, we just went 3 for 4, but we got a tower. But I also got a lot of farm in this time frame. And if you look, I'm leading XP per minute by a fairly substantial margin, and gold per minute by an even further one. If we look at net worth, maybe this will give you a better idea. Net worth. So I'm leading net worth on the Huskar by about 4,000 GP. If you look at our team graphs here, difference in gold earned is 7,500. And that is almost entirely me. Darkseer's beating them by a bit. These 2 are beating these 2. It's 1. So, I mean, our entire team as a whole is up by gold, but I am up at least 4,000 over Huskar, who's carrying them right now. And now simple stuff like being able to take their Ancients, come back, and then take my jungle all within the 20-second mark, except I linger for a little bit for some reason. I got bashed there, which really hurt, and then I got Omni Slash. So you could say I played that a bit aggressive. I could have just took Ancients, went back to jungle, and that would have been a much safer play. Across the board. It just would have been safer. So now I get to be dead for another minute. Still leading net worth. Still leading gold. Let's look at team XP. So team XP is about 5,000. This seems to be more or less that fight just seemed to go incredibly poorly. So yeah, basically that fight gave them a little thing back in XP, a little thing in gold. But once again, I have to keep going back to this, but at the end of the day, what really matters is the fact that I'm leading gold per minute, I'm leading in XP per minute, and I'm leading both by fairly significantly. So this is where we try fighting a Huskar, and this was a really bad idea, because, well, I mean, he does have lifesteal. I don't know. Personally, I feel like lifesteal on Huskar is a mistake. Granted, it can let you live to that, but your spears do 140 damage per right click. That's super important. So our Seer DCs, and we end up pausing. And nice little visual clip back there. So I'm just going to speed this up. And we kind of come to the conclusion that we can just wait 40 seconds for him to reconnect back to the game. And they kind of say that, look, you really don't need a Seer to win. But, you know, we're being polite because, you know, your friend is the guy. And when someone DCs, you wait for them.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
And this was kind of really frustrating. Just them unpausing and pausing, because I was going AFK, I was trying to call him to see what was going on with his internet, see if it's going to be a permanent thing, and everything else. Also, sorry. Look, this is what happens when you put someone like a Jug in a melee lane. So it's 30 minutes in against a Darkseer, right? Look at his farm. This is what I had at, like, probably around the 10-minute mark. He's sitting at 52 last hits, so yeah, 10-minute mark. This should be his farm at 10 minutes, as opposed to me. I have my Battle Fury completed, I have my boots, and then I have 2 items on top of that. So when it comes to something like this, it's very easy, because they're just so far behind. And Bloodseeker blinks, well, plus dash away, but, you know, that doesn't really matter, because I'm a... And that's the Yasha in the Mantis style paying off. So I basically come in, I can clean up, blink into some trees, but eventually I can walk out. And now I can split push. But I mean, at this point, it's just that the only person that contends with me is the Huskar, who has who is, let's look at net worth. So net worth, he's about 5,000 behind. Which means, basically, if we look at my farm, which is this, and we take away my Battle Fury, I'll be on par with the Huskar. But I also have more levels and a lot of other stuff. So, I mean, he can't really contest me that well, because I do have the lifesteal. His ult doesn't do too much damage to me, because I have the spell shields. And I do a lot of physical damage. So Huskar really kind of turned into a useless hero against me. At this point. I mean, early game, completely slaughtered. Huskar dominated early game. So Zeus gets an Ags, which, if you look at Zeus's items, I would get a Veil of Discord before this, at least for team fights. It's going to do the same thing, it's going to come in 2,000 gold lighter. It's going to give you some armor. Zeus does need armor. At this point our Seer reconnects. We couldn't pause anymore because of them. And I see the Huskar mid, and basically I don't want them to push. Pushing is really bad for us. I mean, granted we're on par with towers, but that's basically because the rest of my team is playing phenomenal. Yeah, we were a bit ticked at the jump here, just because, I mean, 2 minutes of Seer is way better than 2 minutes without Seer. So, I whacked the Huskar.
Radiant's middle tower
At this
is
point,
under
I stopped
attack.
chasing him
Hey,
because
you
I
guys
can't see too many of the rest of
doing
the team.
some great work.
And apparently, if I just punched him, I would have been fine. It would have thrown the banner shaker. But I mean, it was a question of playing safe versus playing risky. But it's just more for gold. I mean, it's just about keeping the lead. It's not exactly about getting any further out ahead, but just being able to keep the lead and stay in the same place. So, if that took me way too long, I really need to find hotkeys, but it's just hotkeys, or rebind keys, so I can use hotkeys. Anyways, Lycan's taking Roche. We apparently do not notice this at all. We have like 3 heroes down there who just walked past him. I would kind of go, oh, and we turn around, and the team's there. But, so I picked up my butterfly, going for Eagle Song here. I mean, I have 1,500 health. That's fairly good, considering I have 25 armor. And considering that I have 50% spell resist, I'm not too worried about dying. Someone like a Drow may die at 50% health, but because Anti Mage has so much more resistance, and I do have the lifesteal on top of it, I mean, it really helps out. So at this point, I see that basically none of their team, except the Huskar, is in the area around me, so I'm getting kind of push. I think Huskar loops me. Yeah, he does. And if we look at that, that hurt him a lot more than it hurt me. And I wasn't really comfortable continuing after him, because I'm diving into their base. And that's kind of an awkward situation to be in. They can't really contest me easily. And granted, that's gotta hurt. But it's not the easiest thing in the world for them to contest me, because I'm fairly far ahead, about a 6,000 gold lead at this point. And I'm focusing on melee racks, because if I take a melee rack, you have melee rack. I don't actually know what the... Oh, I think the Lycan got hexed. It was ultimated. That would be what I think. But now I'm going to complete my butterfly. The things about butterfly, 30% evasion is incredibly huge. It gives a huge amount of survivability. Like, it's not even fun how much survivability, 30% evasion. It gives me more armor, but I mean, I already got that off the Eagle Song. It gives me slightly more damage. But I mean, there's really nothing bad about it. I've never went. It sucks to have a butterfly. I don't think anyone has. If we look at this, I kind of ditched my team here, but I get to push. And this is a mentality that I really would like to highlight in this game, is that I'm really not trying to team fight right now, or ever. Just because someone like, I mean, we do have a fairly global presence with the Zeus, so we can get team fights a lot. I mean, between Bane, Seer, Rubik, we do have really good team fight. But, I mean, we have a good enough team fight that those 4 can hold their own. I mean, I haven't been dying. So I can kind of go around and I can push and I can make them rotate. And either they have to respond to me, or they have to respond to the group of 4. But the group of 4 is really good at team fights. Because we have a lot of AoE magic damage, we have walls, we have Bane, and we have Rubik, so we can use their team fight against them. Granted, the only person we can't kill in that team fight is the Huskar. But it's a Huskar. I mean, I have a 7,000 gold lead over him. We can hex him, we have disables. Now I'm coming up from behind with mana. We thought we were a bit late for this fight. And you could make the argument that we are a bit late for this fight. In actuality. And like, look at that. That did nothing. Even this Omni Slash does more or less nothing. I got the ability to blink out of it. And this was a really painful fight against the Huskar. But it kind of turns out that I had enough lifesteal. So I'm chasing after the Bloodseeker. I'm just gonna kind of try to take some towers or something. So I mean, I'm at 8,000 gold ahead of the Huskar right now, and this is just kind of where I snowball out. Because I mean, they have 2 down, they can't really contest me, especially because Huskar's not even up. And we end up having to back off here. I actually end up dying here. The reason why I died is that I was giving Bloodseeker a hard time about this. But the reason I died is that something like the Bloodseeker Rupture, because it does HP removal, it doesn't actually get reduced by my spell shield. Which means Rupture does a ton of damage, especially if I blink. Let's look at Rupture real quick. So Rupture right now is going to do 60% of my move damage, 60% of my move distance as damage. Which means if I blink, and I go 1,150, that means I'm going to take like at least 600 pure, closer to 700 pure. And 700 pure is at least half my life total. So blinking away was a mistake there. I thought that it would have been outside the break distance and could have braked. My Manta was on cooldown, which you could have argued was a mistake. Because I manted when I was going on tower, because I could have manted out of that and I would have been fine. Actually, I don't think Manta purges Rupture anymore. I'll double check that interaction. But I get to sit dead for another second. And basically what I was telling my team right now is that it's okay if we drop a tower. Tower's not the end of the world. The end of the world is if they get our locations. So if we do an 8, if like that 45 is really bad. But so if we just kind of hold on, we drop a tower, I get back up, and what really happened out of all that is simply put, not too much. Because I'm still alive, and we're still alive. As long as I'm alive, we can win. So at this point, I was debating between either going for Heart or for Boots of Travel. And I ended up with Boots of Travel, and the reasoning for this was that throughout the game there's been a lot of times where our Crew Whip has really just kind of ran up against the tower. And if I can boot a Travel in, and I can take that tower, while they're busy with the rest of my team, that helps us. And there's a nice big Creep Wave here. Get gold off of. There's a Huskar there, apparently. Benefits of hindsight and whatnot. I was able to Manta block him in, which really helped. Earthshaker kill. Earthshaker isn't too significant at this point. I realize I have to blink away from these people because the Light Man does really, really hurt at this point. I'm not sure what he has. I really think it's just, BKB and the fact that he's a Light Man. It was really helping him because that crit. And now at this point, our Seer's down there, Ion Shelling, and he decides to taunt me. But little does he know that I'm taking his Rex. So, I mean, this is where Trap will really help. Because in the time it took for him to react, it's already down to Rax. I can come over here and I can take a second melee Rax. And now you could argue I stayed too long, I really should be backing up at this point. Because I'm going to get Ruptured, I'm going to Blink, because I apparently didn't find this last time. 4 stats death. I mean, that was 372 pure. Like, that really hurts. Because I really don't have that much HP reserved. But I do have a lot of damage reduction. But basically at this point, we've more or less won the game. Because now they can't leave their base, because 2 of their lanes are going to push in. And whenever a lane pushes in, I can Boots of Travel in, and I'll just be GG. I just used buyback, so I'm actually going to run over to the secret shop, pick up a Vit Booster, because the Vit Booster will give me sufficient, it'll give me a little bit more pure HP instead of something like, Yeah, it'll just give me raw HP, which is really exactly what you need against a hero like Bloodseeker if you're being killed by Rupture. You need the flat HP bonus.
Double down on sorcery.
So at this point, we get double damage. We know that Roche is coming up here in a few seconds. At least I think Roche is coming up here in a few seconds. Oh no, we forgot to write the time. That's what happened. I thought the light cam was going for it. Oh, I really wish I knew that. Light cam was up there. So basically, there's teamfight brewing, and you know, all of them are there. Our team was kind of wondering what I was doing, keeping away. But in the time that it takes for their team to react, I get 3 racks. So I almost get to avoid the entire team fight, and now I can just blink walk out. So I mean, you don't even. There is no need to team fight at this point. When the lane's pushed in, I can TP in, and the team fight just kind of diffuses. If you look at it, they're kind of split up right now. They're by a few of our different people. Now we get to go and pick them off. Because they didn't all have TPs, and I did, basically. And that was Brains Up coming in for the kill. So even if you look at that, like, the, oh god. I was really disappointed about dying there. Because I was the only person that fell that entire fight. And it was because of Rupture. Because Rupture really hurt me. It really hurt.
Turns out Radiant did need it.
But, I mean, we have Mega Creeps. All the melee barracks were taken when I went in and I took the middle melee. So the lanes were pushed in. And basically at that point, it really doesn't matter how much they die. Well, I mean, they could. That's highly unlikely. Because, I mean, the rest of my team is actually doing relatively decent even when I'm not there. If I'm dead for a full minute, I think it sucks being dead. I disagree with that Bloodseeker's Rupture right there. That was a bit iffy. I mean, chances are we probably could have killed him without using Rupture. And Rupture really, really helps. Once again, we just grabs Magnums. Well, not Magnums, a Refresher.
Radiant's middle tower
this entire time, I was just going to get Veil of Discord. Because with one Veil of Discord, I mean, if you drop this, put a Veil of Discord, you could do a lot more. Because, let's look at this. Scepter damage is 640, as opposed to 475. So 475 to, what did I say, 640? If we go with something like a Veil of Discord, bonus magic damage, 25%. So 25% of 400 is about 100. So that's putting up around 575. Plus a little bit more. So probably 600. But it's coming in at half the price and it's giving him armor. So, I mean... Anyways, player perspective, let's go on me. I'm farming because I really want to heart, I think. That's what happened. Let's look at the courier. The courier has a heart on it. Nope. Okay, we can't see the courier. If I really wanted a heart, I mean, who doesn't love a heart? I mean, granted, I'm playing greedy. I'm going to this point relatively easily. But it's a heart. Like, why would you not want one? Why would you not be able? Why would you not want to be able to say that you have a heart? And that you had to buy one. Because you didn't have one already. So yeah, we're giving our Aegis to Rubik. I mean, I could probably use it because I've been dying. But most of the time I've been dying because I'm playing too aggressive. It's not an issue of me being underfarmed or underleveled because my net worth is 9,000 higher now than their carry. My GPM is a lot higher.
Radiant
experience
structures
per minute
are
is fairly high.
fortified.
So, I mean, all in all, I'm really happy. I have a Heart of Trask on the way. And I remember ending the game while I was just farming pointlessly. But what I seem to remember happening is that we
Radiant's middle tower
pushed
has
bottom a
fallen.
bit. And,
Radiant's Ancient is under attack. Guys, you need to defend
actually,
here.
just looks like we just lost creeps. So yeah, Mega Creeps lets you
Radiant's
win.
Ancient is getting killed!
And I'm screwing up my courier management,
Radiant's
so I do
Ancient
not in
is
fact
under
get
attack.
my Heart of Trask. They're sitting here, they're spending all their energy beating off creeps. They run away chasing us, and
Radiant's Ancient is getting
they
killed!
kind of seem to forget about their creeps. About the 2 creeps. Echo Slam creeps, kill. Fruits get the kill. And then
Radiant's Ancient is under attack.
it's
Dire
kind of seems to
victory!
get an ancient. So, I mean, I'm okay with that. Just like a good ancient every now and then. So yeah, that was Anti Mage game. So I ended at 14-5, which isn't that bad. 637, 682, so I was relatively really farmed. But I mean, it was just avoiding team fights and just taking rocks whenever I had the opportunity. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed, and hopefully I'll have another. Wow. Oh god. The rage. I mean, look at the Huskar. It's not like he played badly. Like, I don't know. You're gonna point the finger at someone. Go to the 1-7 Earthshaker, or like the Viking or something. I don't know. Anyways, that's it for today.